I just want to mention that if you have not heard of the app Anchor, that it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It is free, and the creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone and computer. You could also distribute it to Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You could also make money from your podcast, which is always good. It's everything that you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hello everyone, welcome to the Big Donch Podcast, episode 13 of our Sports World Weekly. It's been a couple weeks since I posted. I'm up at college, so I had to take a couple weeks, well I guess a couple months off. Just how it is, happened last year too. Thanksgiving break now, so wanted to get a podcast in this Wednesday. And then I have a couple more weeks of school left, but then right after that, have about 2 months off. And during those 2 months, it's going to be all podcast every Wednesday. Today, though, we have a huge podcast for us. This is my first ever podcast with a guest. I'll be joined by Caden. He's a friend of mine up at college. He's on the school radio with me. He's very into sports like myself. So he's going to be joining soon. We're going to talk a lot of NFL. Probably going to focus it mainly around NFL. And then after that, we'll probably finish a show with myself, just talking about other sports, catching up, what happened during the weeks that I was not, making podcasts. Of course, I was still present though on YouTube, making reaction videos weekly, like I always do. That won't change, but it's of course hard to make podcasts. At college and other places, when you need all this equipment, you need your phone, you need your MacBook, you need at least 30 minutes of time and all that stuff. So it's just hard to do it on the road. I'll find a way to do it though. But yeah, just glad to be back. Soon I'll be joined by Caden though, so I hope you guys enjoy the podcast. Alrighty, so it should be recording now. So here's Caden. You can't see him because I'm only going to be taking audio from this, of course, but he's a guest on today's podcast. We'll be talking about the NFL, Ncaa Football, and the NBA. So I want to start off with the Steelers. Of course, I mentioned earlier when he was in the before we recorded was, this podcast tends to be a little biased, of course. I like to cover my Steelers a lot, but I will like to ask you about the Ravens later on. But the Steelers had a tough loss to the Chargers, but in my opinion, played probably the best loss they had all year. They played amazing. They had a lot of injuries with TJ Watt going down, Joe Hayden going down, Ncaa Fitzpatrick not playing either. Offense looked real good. Big Ben threw 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I'm pretty sure he got to 300 yards passing. If not, he was close. But our defense did not look that good. I know they had a lot of injuries, but still a bad performance by the defense. If we had our full defense, I think we would have won. We play the Bengals next. I think that should be a win for us coming off, a pretty rough 2 games. So I think that should be a win for us. Bengals aren't looking too good either. So, Kate, I'll throw it to you. What did you see from the Steelers' tough loss to the Chargers?
Yeah, I watched the whole game, and it looked like the Steelers weren't going to win. Came down to the fourth quarter. They were down by a lot, and I was watching the game with my mom. I had to go wake her up because they came back and took the lead because she thought it was over.
Yeah, about that. They came back. I completely forgot about that. They were up by 3 at one point. They were down by 17. They ended up being up by 3 in the fourth quarter. We got lucky. Chargers started to play really bad. We got lucky. We were up by 3, and I thought, all right, this is actually happening. Then our defense again blew it. Justin Herbert almost put up 100 yards rushing on us. I mentioned 2 weeks ago how the Lions put up 200 yards rushing, and then Justin Herbert, a quarterback who's not known for running the ball, puts up almost 100 yards rushing. That hurt us a lot. But did you, what were your thoughts when you saw them coming back? Though I know you said you're gonna wake up your mom and all, but what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. It came off 2 big plays, mostly the blocked punt first, and then the tipped interception. Yeah, that was what helped them get back into the game. They were able to score off those 2.
Yeah, that blocked punt was huge. That's exactly what we need at the right time. I'm just happy with Big Ben's performance. I don't know if you've been taking notice of that, but just all the stuff all the hate he's been getting, especially from Steeler fans, especially me at one point of the year, hating Big Ben with his performance, but just happy when he stepped up. Shows a lot of potential for the rest of the season. Maybe not for the future, of course. He's getting old, 39 years old, but for the rest of the season, he keeps playing like that. We definitely do have a shot at playoffs. despite our record. I'm just blaming that game on injuries. It's simple as that. I think if we were a full defense, we would have won. It was like 50-50 fans, if you saw. Even though it was in Los Angeles, all the way across the country, we had, the whole Pittsburgh Steelers fans there. So definitely a good game. Definitely, I'm all right with the loss. I'm not as mad as the tie than the Lions. I'm more mad about the tie with the Lions than I was the loss against the Chargers, because once again, the Chargers are a good team. We battled. Our offense finally looked good. Najee Harris looked good again. Big Ben looked good. Our receivers looked good. Deontay Johnson, continuing to perform. But they play the Bengals next. They're all right. So I want to ask you, what do you expect from the Bengals versus Steelers this week?
The one thing that Ben's doing right now that is surprising me is he's not turning the football over.
Yeah.
I think over like the last 4 games, he has 0 interceptions, and he's like the only one over that span to do that. And so if he continues that against the Bengals, if he doesn't let their defense get any momentum, I think the Steelers should win that game.
And the thing I want to mention with Big Ben is that's all he needs to do is not turn the ball over. He doesn't have to put up 200 yards passing. I know 200 yards passing isn't a lot, but he doesn't even have to do that for us. He doesn't have to put up 3-4 touchdowns either. Last year, he would have had to, because we didn't have a run game. This year, we actually have a run game in Najee Harris that we don't have to have Big Ben do everything he could. We don't need him to do that. We just have to be a balanced offense, give Najee the, half the amount of shares. But yeah, I don't expect Big Ben to put up these big numbers for us. He doesn't have to. Just don't turn the ball over. That's all I ask for from Big Ben. He doesn't turn the ball over, we could win. And that's why we were in that little win streak when Big Ben wasn't turning the ball over. Didn't play against the Lions, of course. I think if Big Ben would have played, we would have won also. Last game wasn't on him at all. Like I said, it was on defense. But as long as Big Ben does not turn the ball over, I think we'll be all right. Because, he doesn't have to be Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers for us to win games. He just got to do what he got to do and not turn the ball over. So we'll move on now to the Ravens. They had a huge win against the Bears without Lamar and Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown being out, so their number 1 receiver. What do you see from that? Explain, go in depth. I'm just excited about not excited, but I'm just surprised, I guess, with how great their backup quarterback played.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have that amazing of a game early on. Tyler Huntley, he struggled in the beginning to get acclimated to the game and get used to it. But as soon as he got in rhythm, he stepped up and he started doing some good things, especially on that last drive. He was able to get on the field and win us the game. Had a couple big passes. Sammy Watkins came back in this game and really stepped up for him. He was a big target, and Mark Andrews was the other one. Gave him 2 reliable guys to throw the ball to. And with that, he was able to do just enough to beat a Bears team that could not get anything going on offensively.
We're seeing from the Ravens that they're kind of having a lot of close wins throughout the year. And, I don't know if I asked you this earlier, like on the sports shows of a college or not, but, why are they having these close games? We saw them win by field goal to the Lions. We saw them come back, barely beat the Colts. We saw them, Justin Tucker had a game in a field goal the other week, wasn't it? I forget who it was.
The Vikings.
The Vikings. You know what I mean? Are the Ravens a good team, or are they just getting lucky? I can't make a comment on that because I don't watch the Ravens as much. I know you do. You're a fan. In all honesty, do you think that the Ravens are a good team, or do you just think they're getting by barely?
So my take on it is the Ravens are missing a lot of things right now. Their offensive line is banged up. They're missing some pieces there. It's not a great line. Their defense is banged up. They're missing pieces there. And they're giving up big plays, a lot of chunk plays, a lot of just defensive breakdowns, missed tackles, stuff like that. And so when you factor in everything that the Ravens are struggling with right now, I think that they're doing all right. I think that they're a team that is going to contend and stay in every game, but they're not going to blow you out because they're going to give up stuff, like I said, like chunk plays, and their offensive line isn't playing well. So they're not going to blow teams out, but they're good enough to win any game.
Yeah, I see that. I see the Ravens being a team that could beat anybody in the NFL. But, the chances, what I'm saying is if they played the Buccaneers, or the Rams, it'd be every 10 times they played them, they'd win maybe 4. You know what I mean? So, it wouldn't be a 50-50. It wouldn't be a team like that. But they're the chance to beat every team. You know what I mean? It's not like,
right.
It's not like the bad teams in the NFL where they have no chance against a team like the Buccaneers or the Rams. The Ravens, of course, are in a situation where they could beat anybody, but it just depends on the week. Depends on how healthy you are. You need Lamar. We obviously saw that. I mean, obviously they did win, but I'm sure that would have been a whole different game if Lamar was playing against that team.
I think it would have been a whole different game if Andy Dalton would have played the whole game too.
Yeah,
I think he's a better quarterback than Justin Fields right now.
I think he is too. I think I mentioned earlier in the year that they're rushing Justin Fields. Either they're going to rush him to where he's not going to play good at all, or they're going to rush him to where he's injured. I mean, we're seeing both of that.
I think it was the Bears fans. Bears fans did that to him too.
Yeah, I know that, and that happens all the time. The Bears, any fans, honestly, when they draft quarterbacks, they want to rush them because they just want to see them so bad. But like, you don't want to do that, and then all the pressure goes onto the head coach. All the pressure goes onto the organization. All the fans are hating them now because they're not wanting to rush their rookie quarterback. Well, now they cave into the fans. They start their rookie quarterback and look at their situation. So I agree with you. Yeah, I think in any situation. Now, situations I think that they could rush rookie quarterbacks is like, of course, the Jets with Zach Wilson. They didn't have anybody. You know what I mean? They needed to start Zach Wilson. With the Jaguars, I mean, honestly, I still think Gardner Minshew should have started. But they got rid of him, of course. I think they should have stuck with Gardner Minshew. I think that he was very underrated. I think he didn't get his chance that he needed. I don't think he showed us our full potential. I don't think we ever will see his full potential now because of what he's been through. But yeah, but situations like Justin Fields, he had Andy Dalton, who obviously isn't the best quarterback, but has a lot of veteran leadership. I would have just stuck with Andy Dalton until he could not play anymore. He obviously went down with injuries, but even when he was back, they stuck with Justin Fields. I don't know. We're seeing Andy Dalton play tomorrow on Thanksgiving against the Lions. We'll talk about that game later on in the NFL talks, but they play the Browns next week. The Ravens do. The Browns, a team that's struggling a lot now. We thought they would be, winning the AFC North this year, be Super Bowl contenders. The team they had, of course. But Baker Mayfield's a big problem now. He's trying to play injured, but he's not playing good enough now. So what could you see next week, not only just from the Browns, but also, the whole Ravens versus Browns matchup?
Yeah, the Browns are definitely a team that's out of sync offensively right now, and defensively they're allowing a lot of points. Obviously not last week against the Lions because it's the Lions. They're not going to give up too many points. But before that, games like the Patriots game where they gave up like 40 points to a Patriots team with a rookie quarterback, that was surprising to me. So I think that the Ravens could definitely come in here and win this game. Again, like I said before, I don't think it'll be a blowout. They always play the AFC North close, and the Ravens aren't a team that can blow other teams out. But I do think that the Ravens will win by at least a touchdown.
Now, in the past, I'm assuming the Ravens destroy the Browns usually in the past, but you know what I mean? Do the Ravens usually always control the Browns?
Well, there was that game last year, if you remember, on I think it was either Monday or Sunday Night Football.
That was very good.
Right. It was like a ton of scores in the fourth quarter, came down to the wire. Lamar came back out and was the hero. And that was the poop game.
Yeah. They also say Trace McSorley a little bit there too. He went down with a knee injury or something.
Right. Yeah. He tore his ACL in that game, but he actually didn't look too bad in the couple of throws that he had. Unfortunately, Trace McSorley just went to the Cardinals. I was sad about that. But.
Just about to say that. We'll even talk about the Cardinals later too, because I want to mention about Colt McCoy. I don't know if you saw that game. I watched that right after the Steeler game. Right after the one game I was watching, the 1:00 game. But Colt McCoy played amazing. If you watched him play, him filling in the shoes for Kyler Murray while he's down. But I mentioned the Ravens and Browns history because I know with the Steelers, Big Ben's like 20-something and 3 against the Browns. So that's why a lot of teams control. A lot of teams basically have control over the Browns every time they play them. But let's move on now. The Chiefs right now just basically destroyed, not by much, but in all reality, they destroyed the Cowboys. Shut down their offense. Chiefs defense looked amazing, which they needed to all year. Chris Jones won AFC Defensive Player of the Week, had like 3 sacks, a forced fumble or fumble recovery, and a pass deflection, stuff like that. I mean, obviously they needed him to step up. Chiefs are hot now, though. They won 2 straight, I think, maybe 3. I can't remember. I know they destroyed the Raiders last week, destroyed the Cowboys this week. What have you been seeing with the Chiefs now? We mentioned a couple weeks ago that they're in a slump and, we don't think that they're good. But now they're getting out of it. Patrick Mahomes didn't play too good against the Cowboys, but played really good against the Raiders. What have you been seeing from the Chiefs this week?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking for another big game from Patrick Mahomes in the offense to solidify them as a team that's contending again, and I didn't really get that this week, so they're sort of still a question mark for me. Their defense did really step up, but that isn't something that we have seen consistently throughout the year, so I don't think that the Chiefs are a team that can rely on their defense to win games like they did against the Cowboys. But definitely against a high-powered Cowboys offense, that was surprising to see.
Yeah, and Dak Prescott did not play good at all. He he was low. He barely got over 100 yards passing. I'm pretty sure he threw an interception as well. So, yeah, not a good performance by him in the whole Cowboys situation. They got to play better if they want to make a run on playoffs. But Jonathan Taylor, I want to mention too, I want to bring up on the Colts. Had 5 touchdowns. Destroyed the Bills, the Colts did. Jonathan Taylor now is probably, with Derrick Henry being down, the best running back in the league. I never thought I would say that this year. I thought that, the best running back would still be Kamara. Now, don't get me wrong, they're still really good. But when I think of best running backs in the league, when healthy, I think of course, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb. I never mentioned Jonathan Taylor. I knew he was going to have a good year this year, but not be up there in one of the best running backs in the league. Right now, he is the best running back in the league now, with Derrick Henry down. 5 touchdowns, had just on a great streak right now. Probably going to win AFC Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Month. What have you been seeing from Jonathan Taylor?
Yeah, he's crazy. I definitely expected a breakout from him this season, like a lot of people did, I think. But nobody knew it was going to be such a blow-up breakout like this. Like, the way he's playing right now is like Derrick Henry. Like, he's the guy who can take control of an offense and win an entire game like we saw against the Bills.
Yeah. Stick with our running backs, Adrian Peterson and Philip Lindsay, 2 pretty big names. Of course, Peterson had the bigger name, of course, all time, but they were released this week. Surprised with Adrian Peterson. Philip Lindsay, not so much. I mean, he was really good. He was a Pro Bowler on the Broncos, and now his career's kind of going downhill now. Sad to see that, but really more surprised by Adrian Peterson. Wasn't playing too good, but wasn't playing too bad. Scored a touchdown in his first debut with the Titans, but I don't know what the Titans are doing. I don't know why they made that decision, especially with needing a running back. Now they're down 2 more running backs with, of course, Adrian Peterson being released and Derrick Henry being out for almost a year. Were you surprised with that? Did you, what were your thoughts when you saw that?
I mean, I think the thoughts with the Titans were to just go for youth instead of, the veteran name. They figured they would try to bring along their young guys. So if a situation like this were to ever arise again where Derrick Henry was going to miss significant time, maybe they could rely on one of these guys like McNichols, or I don't know who the other guys they have behind him are, but they definitely think that they need to move towards the younger guys moving forward rather than a guy who can fill the spot now.
And I agree with that, but I think instead of releasing Adrian Peterson, still have him in that room, still have that veteran leadership in the room, just split up the carries and stuff. I get what you're saying. I definitely agree with what you're trying to say, but I think a better approach to that would have been just, limit his touches, give it more to the young guys, but still have him in that room. He's a veteran leadership that they need with Derrick Henry being down. I don't know. I was definitely surprised by that. I don't think that was a good call by the Titans, especially after that loss. They had Ryan Tannehill playing terrible, 4 interceptions against the Texans. I'm pretty sure it was. They ended up losing.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Surprised. But Titans are supposed to be the best team in the AFC, and they're definitely not looking like it now. But a team I do want to mention in the AFC is the Patriots. They're starting to go up there. They're starting to really shine. Mac Jones is really starting to shine. Bill Belichick's starting to show that he could win games without Tom Brady now. The Patriots are surprising. They're definitely a team to fear in the AFC. What do you think about the Patriots?
Yeah, a lot of people are calling Patriots for Super Bowl at this point. They're playing that well in the AFC. I don't buy it yet. I think Mac Jones is a very good quarterback, and he will be legit. And he has played very well this year, done what he needs to do game management-wise. But I don't think that's going to get it done in the playoffs. I think in the playoffs, there will be a team that beats the Patriots. But they are a playoff team. I think they will even win the AFC East. I think the Bills will be a wild card team. And, they're sort of faltering right now. I think the Patriots are good enough to win the AFC East and have a high playoff seed. Yeah,
like I mentioned earlier, the Bills losing to the Colts by a lot. They're playing the Saints tomorrow they're playing the Saints tomorrow on Thanksgiving. That game could go either way, especially with the way the Bills are playing. The Seahawks, a team I want to mention, they just lost to the Cardinals with Colt McCoy's great game. Seahawks are terrible, though. I honestly think that. Russell Wilson is not playing good at all. Maybe it's because of the offense, you got to admit, but I don't know. The whole offense cannot score points. They just cannot get downfield. They can't score points when they need to. They had plenty of opportunities against the Cardinals, and they just could not do it. If you're a Seahawks fan, should you be worried right now?
Oh, absolutely. I think that the Seahawks, this is the year they've really fallen off the cliff. If you've got guys like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett to throw the ball to, you shouldn't be struggling too much. And Russ is this year. It's definitely not his season. He's a good quarterback, but he needs to, think about the things and, come back better next year. And that defense giving up 330 yards and 2 touchdowns to Colt McCoy, the backup to Kyler Murray, that's kind of pathetic.
Another bad offense is the Falcons. We saw them play the Patriots on Thursday Night Football and not playing good at all. Matt Ryan had a pair of interceptions. They threw in Josh Rosen. He had an interception, and they threw up another backup quarterback in, and he had another interception. Terrible offense by the Falcons when they need it. They're not terrible, roster-wise. Matt Ryan, Pitts, of course, Calvin Ridley sitting out. But I don't know, the Falcons offense too. I don't know if you have any comments on that.
Well, yeah, Belichick knows how to shut down the other team's best offensive weapon. Mm-hmm. Ridley was not there, so that was Kyle Pitts in this game, and he did that. He double-teamed Kyle Pitts the whole game. Ryan had nowhere to go with the football, and they just weren't able to go down the field and score any points because of it. So just good game plan from the Patriots, I think.
So to wrap up the NFL, we'll talk about Thanksgiving tomorrow. The games are the Bears versus Lions, which is going to be a terrible game, but of course it's tradition. Lions always playing every Thanksgiving. Then we have the Raiders versus Cowboys. I think the Cowboys will win easily. And then we have the night game, Saints versus Bills. I think the Bills will win, barely though. Any games that stand out to you that you really like?
I think Bears-Lions is actually more important than you might think, because I think if the Bears lose this game, Matt Nagy gets fired, almost for sure.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of rumors of that. I didn't mention, but I know he mentioned that there's no rumors. He shut down the rumors, basically. He's saying, I don't think I'm going to get fired. Of course he's going to say that.
Right.
I don't know. Real quick, though, before we wrap up the NFL, do you really think that's Matt Nagy's fault if you've been paying attention to the Bears much?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that it's totally his fault, but I think that a lot of pressure is lying on him right now, especially from the city of Chicago and Bears fans. They want him out of there.
Yeah.
They expected big things from Justin Fields coming in, starting, and when they didn't get it, they were upset, and they think it's Nagy's fault. And I think that the Bears almost need to move on from him just to eliminate the distraction, more than just the fact that Nagy's a bad coach.
So let's talk about some Ncaa football. We had an okay week in football this week. We had a lot of surprising wins, a lot of upsets, a lot of big wins. I want to start from Notre Dame. My team destroyed Georgia Tech by 50. That's huge for us. I mean, Georgia Tech's obviously terrible, but big statement win just to put the league on notice, maybe just with how we can destroy teams, of course. But the rankings came out yesterday. The playoff rankings, Notre Dame's at 6. I think AP rankings are at 5. I'm not sure. But for the playoff rankings, they're at 6, with Michigan being 5. Cincinnati finally got in there with 11-0 record. They're at 4. Alabama's at 3. Ohio State's at 2. Georgia is at 1. Do you like that list? I think it's a pretty good list, ranking. So Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Cincinnati, Michigan, Notre Dame in that order, 1 to 6. Do you think that's a pretty good ranking?
Yeah, I think they're definitely getting it better than they had it earlier on in the season when none of us were agreeing. But that's, a lot of teams losing that we thought were bad definitely helped out.
Penn State beat Rutgers 28-0. I mean, Penn State's just having a rough season. But I'm pretty sure I read yesterday that James Franklin got an extension.
He did.
I don't know about that. I don't know. Tell me about it. What do you think about it?
Honestly, I think that Penn State fans like him. They want to give him another chance. I think he's a good coach, not a great coach, but I think with enough time, given the reins, he'll eventually get over the hump and make it into the playoffs.
Ohio State destroyed Michigan State. Two teams that are both top 10, and Ohio State just showed why, they can still be one of the best teams in the country. Destroyed them. That shut down Michigan State's chances. And then Oregon upset by Utah. Utah destroyed Oregon. That helps, of course, Notre Dame moving up. Helped a lot of teams move up. Helped Cincinnati get in. Helped Michigan with their chances. But I think this week's rivalry week, we have Alabama playing Auburn. We have Michigan playing Ohio State. Who does Penn State play?
I have to look it up quick. I didn't look it up.
All right. I know that Notre Dame plays Stanford. Obviously, Stanford's not that good, but it's going to have to be a must-win for us to keep our.
Penn State has Michigan State.
Michigan State. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that at?
It's at Michigan State. It's a tough one.
Rough. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
But Penn State's nothing to lose, basically. I mean, maybe if they lose, they probably won't have a chance in a bowl game, but I don't know. I still think they'll get a bowl game no matter what their outcome is. So one more topic. Of course, we'll talk about some NBA before I let you go. Thanks again for coming on. Warriors and Suns are hot right now.
Right.
They're the two best teams in the league, really. Steph Curry still continuing to make an MVP statement. The Suns, they won I'm pretty sure 10 straight. I could be wrong. They're up there though in their streak. They're in a huge win streak. They're both hot. Not so much the Warriors. We talked a lot about the Warriors this year on the show, but how about the Suns? What have you been seeing from the Suns? I honestly thought they were not going to be that good this year.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were going to be really that good of a team, but they're playing great.
Yeah, they're up to 13 now on their win streak. It was 10 a couple days ago, but yeah, they're actually up to 13 now. And yeah, I didn't expect them to come back and be playing this well, but definitely they've come off that championship and said, we want to get back to form. We want to do this again. And guys like Chris Paul, Devin Booker, even Ayton are stepping up big time, and they're furthering their development in terms of Booker and Ayton. They're young guys. They both still have room to grow yet, and they're showing that they have that. They have the room to grow, and that they're going to continue to compete.
My Philadelphia 76ers are good right now. They're playing injured. They have Joel Embiid out. They have Matisse Thybulle out. Not Matisse. They have Tobias Harris out. They had Seth Curry out. Danny Green. Just playing good basketball. We beat the Kings. I know the Kings aren't that good. They lost their head coach, Luke Wall, and they fired him. I think that was a good decision. But in all reality, any coach that goes to the Kings, they really have no chance. But we're playing good right now, so I'm happy to see that. Maxey playing real good, taking up Simmons' spot. Still have no clue what we're going to do with Simmons, but it is what it is. I'm not worried about it. We're winning without him. Andre Drummond put up 20 rebounds against the Kings, so he's playing good right now with Embiid going down. So I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know if I had a dream or what, but Colin Sexton, is he injured? Is he out for the year?
He's out for the year.
Yeah,
That's correct. Yeah, it's tough for the Cavs.
I remember seeing that real quick. I was like, oh, I have to mention this on the sports show. I guess I never did. But yeah, that's really tough for the Cavs. Cavs are doing really good this year compared to the past few years. Yeah, it's a huge blow. But now that's Ricky Rubio's time to shine now. Do you think Ricky Rubio could really perform the same way, or if not better than Colin, and maybe get them to the playoffs?
I think Rubio is a great leader, and he's a good guy to have at the starting point guard position. But that being said, he doesn't provide the kind of explosion that Colin Sexton can. In games that I've seen him play, he's had like 30-some points and 10 assists. And Colin Sexton has the ability to really show flashes, whereas Rubio is the more, steady performer.
Yeah.
He's going to put up.
I agree with that. I can see Ricky Rubio being more fundamental player compared to Colin Sexton. He's more of the guy to beat, have a better chance at those better one-on-one matchups against better point guards. While Ricky Rubio, he's more pace guy, more fundamental guy. Could just get the job done, but maybe not get the job done enough to, take them a deeper in the playoffs or even get to the playoffs.
Having both of them was really the key, I feel like, for the Cavs this season, and Colin Sexton being out hurts.
Yeah, and usually we see with backups in the NBA, usually they're better off as backups. You know what I mean? We see it with Lou Williams and other players who are popular six-man. They're better off as backups coming off the bench and scoring the role. Usually when they start, they're not play as good. So I think that's the situation there, but we'll have to see, of course. I still think Ricky Rubio is a good player, but we'll have to see. Last topic now before I let you go. LeBron ejected. Kind of unfair, though, to the other player with the suspension. I'm pretty sure LeBron only got one and the other player got two. I think that was very unfair. I think it should have been switched. I honestly think LeBron should have got at least 3 games for that elbow. I think the other player should have got at least 2, but I honestly don't think LeBron should have got 1. I think he should have got more. I was surprised with that. What did you see from that whole situation? Do you think LeBron deserved more suspension?
Yeah, I keep going back and forth on it, but from watching the video, I've watched it a ton of times now. It doesn't seem like LeBron did it intentionally, and that's just my opinion. I know some people disagree with that. The way his eye got all bloody like that, it doesn't seem like that could be unintentional. But from what I saw in the video, I don't think LeBron was trying to do that. So I think 1 game is fair. All right. And then Isaiah Stewart is the one who really, he ran around the whole court and made it a big deal. So
and that's why I definitely think Isaiah Stewart should still get a suspension, because I think he did a little too much. Right. Basically trucking through everybody. Everyone's like, get him on the football field. I mean, I don't know. I just think LeBron doesn't get, the right treatment. He gets what I mean? The treatment he gets in the NBA is very unfair to other players, I think. That's just my situation. That's my problem.
I can see it both ways. And in my honest opinion, I think that Stewart should be punished more than LeBron. Okay. But I also see keeping it fair to make it seem like you're not showing favoritism. So either way,
I got you.
I'm okay with.
Well, I appreciate Caden coming on as a guest on my podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, did you have fun? I had fun. It was pretty cool having a guest on the podcast. Kind of, fills in for our sports shows every week.
Yeah, hey, anytime.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So that was Caden, one of my friends out of college. Glad to have him on, a guest on the podcast. So a little choppy by me, of course. I always say as you can tell. So it's all right. I got to work on that to be a better podcaster. But to finish out the show, let's talk about some MLB, some fighting, like the boxing and UFC world, because of course I didn't cover it in a while since I not podcast for a while since August. So let's start off with the MLB. I want to talk about the Braves winning the World Series, of course. Definitely surprised with that. Beating the Astros, a team I think was overall better. The Braves did win, though, which is very surprising. They played great, though. Nice to see a team that's in, I guess, my Phillies division win it. It kind of shows potential for the Phillies, kind of show that the Phillies can compete with them. But honestly, surprised. The thing I like about the MLB and the World Series is it's basically a new winner every year. So that's always cool to see with the Braves. We see how the Nationals had to run pretty far a couple years ago. And now we're seeing the Braves. We're seeing the Marlins, the Rays, who had a pretty good run in the playoffs last year too. So that's what I like about the World Series and the MLB playoffs. It's just always different every year. Anybody could win. That's what I like. That's why I always wish the Phillies could just get into the playoffs, because once they get into the playoffs, anything could happen. Next year, for predictions, I have no clue. A little too early to tell. But like I said, it's different every year. And that's what makes MLB fun. Bryce Harper won MVP. Philly finally won something. Definitely excited about him. Definitely deserved it. Shohei Ohtani also won MVP. He obviously deserved it. What he did both ways. Tatis was obviously up there for MVP. I think Bryce Harper was just a better overall player and was more valuable to, of course, the team than Tatis was to the Padres. Cy Young winners, I can't remember exactly who, but Zach Wheeler was up there. I'm pretty sure he was second in voting. I don't think he deserved it, honestly, coming from a Phillies fan. Definitely played great, but I think the pitcher who won it was definitely overall better than him. Definitely, though, shows potential. Definitely, was a good sign for us to enjoy. Shows potential for next year. So not too mad either way, but just happy Bryce Harper won what he deserved, the MVP. Definitely deserved it. And hopefully he keeps that run going. Hopefully the Phillies build around him and we can actually get into the playoffs. Now some fighting. Now some fights that happened since that last podcast was, of course, Fury vs. Wilder 3. One of the best fights we saw in a while. Definitely love that fight. Got to see Fury win. Canelo versus Plant. Canelo obviously destroyed Plant in the end, but Plant definitely surprising. Way his defense was hanging in there. Fought great. So definitely a lot of potential from Plant. Canelo, though, continuing to be amazing. He's moving up to cruiserweight, which is not surprising knowing Canelo. He wants every belt possible, but definitely excited to see what that's going to be. Definitely curious to see him pulling on so much weight to get up to there. That's a lot of weight. Obviously he's not a natural cruiserweight by any means. He's not a natural light heavyweight either. So to bump up that weight, definitely going to be excited to see. Crawford versus Porter, which happened over the weekend. Porter got kind of destroyed. I mean, even though his father stopped the fight a little early, he was losing that round regardless. But I still think he should have went out on a shield and at least, try to fight a little more, try to go to decision at least. Not call it off too much, but it is what it is. Trainers got to do whatever is best for their fighters to keep them safe. Some big fights coming up lately. Is Teofimo. I'm pretty sure he's fighting this Saturday. Finally fighting for once. We have, of course, Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury, Tyson Fury's stepbrother, but that's going to be exciting fight to see. I think Tommy Fury will win. But the fighting world is good, though, right now. It's definitely a lot of boxing matches going on right now. UFC a little quiet. Hopefully, Conor McGregor makes a comeback in 2022 a little early. Hopefully, he gets that around spring or, even before summer. But fighting world is definitely excited this year. So, definitely excited to see what comes up. I just got to see Usyk fight Fury, or at least Fury fight Joshua. I got to see Fury fight. Again, I love seeing him fight. Just the way he fights is just insane. His mechanics and everything. Definitely just exciting fighter for him to be like, 6'9", fat. It's just fun to see. I'm sure everybody loves seeing Tyson Fury win and just destroy people like Deontay Wilder. But, not to discredit Deontay Wilder. Still a good fighter. Still a lot of power in him. Still better than a lot of heavyweights in the world right now regardless. So that wraps up the Big Donch Podcast, episode 13. Definitely glad with how the podcast is rolling. We had Caden join us today. We talked a lot about it. NFL, Ncaa Football, and NBA. Then I wrapped up just the MLB, what happened, over the weeks. since I last podcast, and of course the fighting world. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Stay tuned for more podcasts every Wednesday. Gonna take a break again for about 3 weeks because I'm up at college, but once I've done that, I'll be posting every week for the next 2 months. So once again, hope you guys enjoy. Have a good Thanksgiving. I'm out, guys. Peace.